Okay, so for today's social studies rotation, I have decided to get rid of that set of notes that we were working on last week. Not these, but we still need to have these guys done, right? This was important, extremely important. It went through the 3 branches of our government as well as this side. But the other ones, like the flower-shaped one and the tombstone-shaped one, I am just going to toss those and substitute it with this because it's going to be too long and too much work. So what you're going to do is you're going to read through this, and this is going to walk through what the First Amendment was, the Second, Third, and Fourth, all the way through the 10th. And then you're going to answer these questions. So that's a part of this station today. The other part is the notes. And I am not going to use this map. So we're going to throw that map away. And the reason why is because it shows the modern state boundaries. Well, that's not what it looked like in the 1780s. And that can get very confusing. So I'm going to show you a map of what it looked like in the 1780s. But let's start with this. And we'll make it quick, hopefully. My goodness, these last set of notes have been intense. All right, so this is the Constitution, right? The document that was set up to set up our government in the United States of America. Part of that Constitution is the Bill of Rights. That has these first 10 amendments. An amendment was a vocabulary word before we went out on spring break. Amendments are changes or additions to something. All right, let's start with this first paragraph. I'm going to read it out loud to you. The Constitution was barely a year old when government leaders decided that several guarantees of individual rights needed to be added. These guys needed to be added. In fact, many of the states only ratified the Constitution because they were assured, they were promised that these protections would be added. Ratify means to make it official. So the only way these states would agree to accept the Constitution as a guiding principle in their lives was if these 10 amendments were added. There's James Madison. Hello, James. James Madison and other members of the Constitutional Convention proposed 12 changes. 10 of these changes, called the Bill of Rights, were approved and became a permanent part of the Constitution on December 15th, 1791. So that would be those 10 amendments, these 10 parts of the Bill of Rights. Okay. The Bill of Rights, the First Amendment, we talked about that when we did the notes. It's the freedom of speech, religion, assembly, press. Second Amendment is the right to bear arms. Third and fourth have to do with your right to privacy, the right to your belongings. The government can't kick your door in and go through all your stuff without your permission. This isn't a night divided. Fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth amendments are for if you're charged with a crime and you're put on trial, these are your rights as a defendant. And the ninth and 10th amendments basically are saying that the government cannot deny you your rights. It can't decide all of a sudden to get rid of the Bill of Rights. Even if you don't want your rights, you still have them. All right, so when the Bill of Rights was passed, these rights did not apply to everyone in the United States at that time. Women, slaves, and American Indians had no legal rights at that time. They do now. Since the Constitution and Bill of Rights were approved and accepted as law by the United States, 17 more amendments have been added. So it's not just 10 amendments anymore. 17 additional ones came later. So you're going to match these really quick. Your words are in bold. Here are the definitions. Here are the terms. Match those up. And you can pause this video now while you do that. And I'm going to get ready to cut and paste. All right, want to pause it? All right, on pause. So this should be done and put in the basket with your name on it. Now let's get ready for the notes. So like I said, I'm not interested in the map. What's wrong with this map is it's deceptive. It's only giving you boundaries today, which are not the borders back then. We want to be precise when we are talking about history. These notes are very tiny. I don't even think I'm going to give you a whole piece of construction paper. I might cut these in half. Why don't I do that now? Maybe I'll make some sort of like fun little squiggly. I don't know. Yay, fun. Ratifying the Constitution. Those are our notes. Remember, ratify means to make official, to put it in place. And I don't know where my glue stick is. Hold on. All right. I took one from my helper's desk. Sorry about that. I'll put it back. Ratifying the Constitution. Making this official. All right, so remember that there were 13 colonies. So when the United States became a country, we had 13 states. How many states had to agree to this Constitution to make it official so that it could be ratified? And that answer is 9 of the 13 had to agree to this condition of the Constitution for it to happen, for it to become official. All right, so all 13 eventually did agree to the Constitution, but they agreed at different times. So we're going to flip our little sheet over. Well, you can't see that. Now you can. I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to put these dates that are on my screen down. All right, so the first one to ratify was Delaware. All right, and Delaware was December 7th, 1787. 1787. Pennsylvania was next, 1787, and that was Pennsylvania. Jersey, 1218. New Jersey, 1218, 1787. Next was Georgia, January 2nd, 1788. Georgia. Connecticut, January 9th. 5th, Connecticut. And I remember that as connect. Cut. I already forgot the date. Was it 12th? 9th. January 9th. 1788. Number 6. Gotta get all the way to 13. Was Massachusetts, February 6th. Massachusetts. Next will be Maryland, April 28th, so a little bit of time there. And then we had South Carolina, May 23rd. So far, North Carolina, where are you at? Go ahead and number down. 9, 10, 11, 12, and then 13. 9th was New Hampshire, and that was June 21st. All right, 10th place was Virginia, June 25th. And then New York, 726. All right. Then came us North Carolina, November 21st, 1789. Look at that. Over a year later. North Carolina was hard to please. All right, and then we have Rhode Island, May 29th, 1790. Rhode Island, right? Yeah. Okay. So this is the order that the states ratified the Constitution. So, when the Constitution was being crafted and the founders wanted to make it the law of the land, they wanted all the states on board with this, there were some concerns. Some states had issues with the Constitution, and that is why we have such a wide span of time here, that it all didn't happen at once in the beginning. We have some that approved it right away, and then others that took a lot longer. All right, so if you need to pause this for the dates, go ahead, but I'm going to keep going. Which leads us to this middle tab here. Why we're Federalists. We all know federal means national. So at the time we had two groups of people. We had Federalists and we had Anti-Federalists. Kind of like the first political parties of the country, so to speak. Federalists were big for a national government. We need a strong national government. Woohoo! And then the Anti-Federalists were like, yeah, we don't really like that idea. We want to keep more power with the states and less with the big national government. But the Federalists, of course, wanted this Constitution so that it applied to all the states, the entire nation. They're all about the whole nation, right? And they were worried at this time period because, I didn't cut that very well, Virginia, which was a very important state, and New York wouldn't ratify the Constitution. They weren't the only ones, but they were the heavily populated, most influential states of the time that wouldn't agree to the Constitution. So Virginia and New York, and then the others that wouldn't approve of the Constitution, eventually were convinced, because all 13 got on board. We just saw that with the dates. And the reason they were convinced is because James Madison, who ended up being our 4th president, agreed to submit a Bill of Rights. Those 10 amendments we just read about, to Congress as amendments. So some states were worried. Anti-Federalists were worried. They wanted to protect the individual rights of American citizens. They were nervous about the national government becoming too powerful. And so they needed these 10 amendments as promises that would help keep the federal government controlled, so to speak, so that the people couldn't be abused or mistreated, that the people had rights that the government had to respect. All right, so that's it for the notes today. Make sure your names are on these and in the basket. There is no secret message or anything for today. Just make sure this is completed and this. And that should take up 20 minutes because this is only at the 15-minute mark.